Hello everyone. I would like to welcome you to this decimal chain AMA session that we are once again proud to be doing in collaboration with CoinMarketCap. My name is Nick. I have recently been onboarded as Chief Business Development Officer at Decimal. To give you guys a bit of an introduction on myself, if you are joining us for the first time, I am from the US and after finishing business school in Washington, D.C., I've spent time working in fintech and later transitioned to the blockchain industry, where I worked in GameFi. I have recently joined the Decimal Chain project, and I'm very proud to start working on such a great and exciting project with a team of dedicated professionals who are for sure going to give this project wings and take it to the next level. Now, to give you guys a bit of a background on Decimal, if you are new to the community, Decimal is a blockchain infrastructure used to create decentralized apps for developers. Decimal is the best blockchain supporting builders around the world creating crypto apps that scale today. Applications, contracts, and tokens created on Decimal are automatically supported by the IBC infrastructure, which means they interact with networks such as Cosmos, BSC, Thorchain, Osmosis, and Secret. Now, to get started with the AMA for this week, I will be answering a couple of questions from our community that the team and I have found to be interesting and informative, and I will do my best to give you guys some satisfying answers and clear up any misconceptions you might have. The topic of this week's AMA is delegation on Decimal Chain. And since last week, the topic of the AMA was validators, we thought that it would make sense and that it would be useful to cover the topic of delegators in the next week. So we think it is important to get all of the facts straight and for there to be no confusion within our community when it comes to the process of delegation. And now, without further ado, we will discuss the topic and answer the questions we received from you guys. To start with some background, delegation is transactions within Decimal Chain, during which one user's account becomes locked, and the stake given to the validator increases. Anyone with an active wallet on Decimal can delegate their DEL tokens as well as any of the custom coins in rotation on Decimal. The process of delegation can also be called bonding and unbonding. When a user delegates their assets, they increase the stake of the validator. The higher the amount at stake for the validator, the more blocks will be executed in the transaction, and the higher the reward for all parties involved, meaning both the validators and delegator profit. Rewards are based only on the delegated assets. Delegation occurs because of a specific transaction on the Decimal Chain. When the locked assets of the users increase the stake of the chosen validator, any user with an active wallet can delegate their DEL tokens as well as other minted tokens and NFTs. In order to calculate your potential profit from delegation, pay attention to the commissions set by validators. If you choose a validator with 5% commissions, you will be entitled to 30 DEL. After the validator collects their commission fee, you will start earning 28.5 DEL with 5% going to the validator. If you were to open the validator page in our Explorer, you will see a section titled Tables. Every validator has 1,000 tables for delegation. A single table is meant for one delegator's assets for a single coin. For example, if the delegator sends 200 DEL and 200 units of a different coin, there will be two separate tables. However, if the delegator makes one transaction for 200 DEL and another for 300 DEL, they will fall under one table. All tables are formed based on the assets contained when converted to DEL. After the validator uses all 1,000 tables, there will be a limit on the amount they are able to delegate. The amount in table 1001 cannot exceed the amount in table 1000. When a new delegator sends an amount more than that in table 1000, their assets replace the smaller amount. The displaced assets become undelegated and return to the user's wallet. Now, after giving you some background on how delegation works, we will begin by answering questions from our community. Now, to start with the questions, the first question of the week is, can coins be undelegated? To answer this question, I will say that assets can become undelegated by the delegators or due to specific circumstances. These circumstances could either be that all 1,000 of the validators' tables are occupied and the amount you propose to stake is less than one of the stakes in the table. In this case, any new delegator that sends a higher stake to the validator will replace your stake, and your assets will become undelegated and returned to you. Another reason could be the validator losing connection to the network. If you willingly recall your assets, your stake will be undelegated right away and you will stop receiving rewards. However, they will only be returned after 30 days due to safety measures set in place by DPoS. Whether you undelegate your assets willingly or due to specific circumstances, you must fill out a form. You can find this form on the Personal Console under the Delegation tab. Next to the delegation form, you will see another form titled Recall. You must provide the public key to the node, the coin, and the amount you wish to recall. You can also leave a message and select a coin to use for commission payments. After filling out the form, click the Recall button in order to finish the transaction. That concludes the answer to question 1 on can coins be delegated. And now we will move on to the second question that we received from our community this week. And question number 2 is it possible to lose the delegated assets? To begin answering this question, I will say that despite the fact that delegated assets remain with their owner, they are locked rather than transferred away. The delegated amount can be reduced because of the fines that can be applied to the validator. A validator can be fined for missing blocks. If the validator misses 12 blocks out of the last 24, the validator will be fined 1% of the entire stake. In addition, the node is taken off the line and stops producing blocks. Throughout this time, delegators are not rewarded. There is also a fine for double blocks. If 2 different blocks of the same parameters are processed during verification and voting, the validator is fined 5% of the stake. The assets of the users are not undelegated from the fined validator. However, the node of the validator is deactivated until they reactivated the given node. While the node is deactivated, delegators are not rewarded. That concludes my answer to question 2. Now we move on to the third question, which is, what is the point of delegation? If Spacebot does not find, why use a different delegator? The answer to this question is the percent of your earnings can be higher. Yes, Spacebot pays the fines, but the other validators will have higher rewards for staking, in which case you will earn even more if you are fined. For question number 4, we have how can you avoid being fined? To answer this question, I will say that in order to avoid being fined, you must make sure that you have a stable connection to the network in order to avoid missing blocks. If there is a malfunction, reach out to the support team or text us in the chat. We can always give you advice on what to do in a given situation. Those are all of the 4 questions that we've received from our community this week. I hope you were able to find out a bit more about delegation and how it works relative to the topic discussed last week, which was validators. So now you should have a more clear picture on how the two interact together and how they support each other and work up each other. And now I would like to thank everyone for attending this week's AMA session. It has been a pleasure being your host. Like always, please tell us what you think of our sessions in the Telegram channel and leave your reviews so we can read them and improve your experience. We would also like you to keep sending us your questions so we can address them and make them the topics for future AMA sessions. We're always looking for insightful questions and good topics to discuss that can provide our community with new knowledge and make them more capable members of the decimal chain. Now, I will conclude this week's AMA session, and I will leave it to any questions that the community might have. We'll give you guys a few minutes to ask questions. Since there do not seem to be any questions this week, I will close up the session, and this will be the concluding note. And I would like to say thank you for joining. Keep sending us your questions. Have a good day, and goodbye.